It is the Shepherdess at Harmony Farms. Lambing season has come to a close, and today I'm going to be talking about how many lambs did my 16 Dorper sheep give me this season. I feel like I have a stalker right now. How's it going? I want to give a shout out for the Think Big, Start Small, and Don't Quit shirt, which is now available at shopshepherdess.com. Also, please join us for the Small Farmer Virtual Meetup, which is the fourth Thursday of every month. Really want to see some of you guys there. Say hi in person and chat live. So, link below for both the inspirational shirt and the live meetup. 2021 lambing season is pretty well over, with exception of, I think I have one straggler out there. She is as big as a barn and will probably go any day. She's just taking her time. But I've got the results here. All of the results are in, and despite a very rough start to my first lambing season, I am very pleased with the results, and I want to share them with you today. There's a saying that goes, if you don't measure it, you can't manage it. And as a first-time farmer, I think that one of my strongest things that I can bring to the table is just using my previous experience in management to measure absolutely everything. And as my management develops and as I become a better farmer, I will have all of the data that I need to make those educated management decisions. But for now, I'm measuring it like crazy. And here are the results of 2021's lambing season at Harmony Farms. So I had 16 ewes give birth. Now the interesting thing about that number is that 8 of 16 were first-time ewes. That's a really high number of first-timers, probably the highest that we've ever had in the 3 years that the flock has actually been on property here. This year was also extremely high as far as assisting. So of those 8 first-time ewes, I assisted 5. And as I have kind of talked to some sheep mentors, some ranching mentors in retrospect about this lambing season and about some of the challenges that I encountered, general consensus is that's a pretty high number. And what I'm coming to terms with is the fact that I believe I was much too liberal with my winter protein supplementation, which essentially means I overfed my animals. And more specifically is that I overfed them in the last 4 to 6 weeks. Now in utero, the lamb puts on the bulk of its weight in that last 4 to 6 weeks. So by overfeeding during that time period, I created not only fat lambs, which were hard on my first timers, but created fat ewes as well, which is known pretty commonly to cause trouble in delivery. So fat moms, fat babies equals a lot of assistance. Now there will probably come to me some recommendations to cull anything that needs assistance. The only thing in my flock that needed assistance this season were first-time ewes, and given the fact that I suspect the fault was on my shoulders, I will not be culling any animals that needed assistance this season. So of 16 that gave birth, I had 22 lambs. I unfortunately had 4 mortalities. 3 lambs die and 1 ewe die. 1 ewe and 1 lamb death were attributed to a condition called ringworm. It pops up in sheep every once in a while. There's not a lot of data on it. It is a hormonal issue within the animal. But beyond this, the only way to remedy it is a C-section, and many people do recommend that you get rid of that animal from your flock if you're able to perform a successful C-section. So that happened to me this year, but that was responsible for 2 of the 4 deaths on pasture. Another one was a stillbirth that happened with a first-time mom. It was a malpresentation, meaning that the lamb was coming out with 1 hoof and its head coming forward, and then the other hoof was tucked back behind its body, creating sort of a roadblock which stalled the remainder of labor, and therefore the lamb died in the birthing process. The other stillbirth was to a twin, and I suspect it was just a prolonged delivery. I actually took the lamb that was a stillbirth and I went and I weighed it. And when I weighed that lamb that was stillborn, it was 9 pounds, 9 ounces. Now, a healthy lamb is anywhere between 5 and 9 pounds. So that particular lamb was on a large side and probably just took a little too long for the mom to push out, and therefore was a stillbirth. So those are all of my unfortunate mortalities on pasture. Hope it gives you a little bit of insight as far as what to watch for there, but that is the sad part of lambing. But I have 19 healthy lambs on pasture right now. I had 6 sets of twins and 9 single births. The single births happened primarily with my first-time ewes, and that is typical of a first-time ewe, just to drop 1 lamb. I had 6 juvenile ewes, meaning 6 one-year-olds that did not breed at all, but 2 of my one-year-olds did breed. Now there's a debate in the sheep farming circle that you ought to really wait until 14 months to breed your sheep. Now, I don't know specifically why they recommend that, but it will be something I will be considering as far as management into the future, whether I will wait till that 14-month mark or not. That would be, personally, just from a management perspective, a difficult thing to partition my flock during breeding season, so more than likely I will just let what happens happen. So I had very few goals for lambing 2021 aside from survival and getting through it with most of my mental faculties intact. Whether that happened or not, I'm not entirely sure. Still catching up on my sleep. So as far as goals for 2021 lambing, I had the goal of increasing my ewe count by 30%, which would be 8 ewe lambs. That was my one and only goal for 2021 lambing. Well, I had 7 ewe lambs, and then one night, the very last ewe to give birth in 2021 lambing season.
There's the other one. Here you go, Mama. Here's your big baby. Here's your big baby.
Is it a ewe? It's a little ewe.
I think that brings me up to my goal of 8 ewes. Oh.
So was. My goal was met at the 11th hour. I am so incredibly excited. I have to say, 2021 lambing really was, it was difficult for me personally. And difficult because I think a majority of my emphasis and my focus in the past year of being a farmer has been on pasture management, on forage resource management, rotational grazing and things that are directly related to, moving the animal across the landscape. And I had in my mind, this thought that if I could manage my pasture right, if I could graze my animals perfectly and get them in line with nature and so forth, I wouldn't have any problems. And I say that to be totally honest with you guys, because 2021 lambing really showed me that farming is multifaceted in your inputs and your management, no matter how perfect your pasture management is. And animal husbandry is a thing, and it can't be neglected. So that's all to say. I'm still learning, I'm still growing, and I'm still developing what will be my management format and strategies. But like I said, I am measuring it so that as my skills develop and as my experience grows, I can then begin to manage it in the very best way. And I'm excited to get back to regular programming. I've got a lot of videos coming out on spring in general on the farm and some exciting new developments we've got going on as far as building out the flock here at Harmony Farms. Thank you guys so much for your support. This community has been overwhelming. I never would have expected to have this much moral support through something like YouTube or sharing my videos here, but it's blown me away, and it's been incredible, and I'm so grateful for it. So thank you guys so much.